Alright guys, let's get our weekly Andy News ReZero content. This should be pretty interesting. It's Al cut content. Al's secret power, we didn't get to see him fight, we didn't get to see in his fight with Lust. What do we know about Al? He kind of looks like Subaru maybe. Maybe he is Subaru. Subaru's Al theory I think is a very normie theory though. A lot of people are against it. And those people are usually the light novel crew. Which tells me that, it's probably not the case. What else? I think bro is literally repeating battles, right? Based on what he said against Capella, it sounds like he has just repeated the battles over and over again. Similar to a Dark Souls character, because his character literally gets referenced to a Dark Souls character because due to his armor. Dude is fighting a boss, losing, repeating over and over, memorizing boss patterns. That's what it seems like he's doing.
Capella vs. Al was a fight shrouded with quite a bit of mystery. Zero progress was made figuring out how to get rid of her, and somehow Al came out completely unscathed. If you're anime only, you may think that's simply due to Al being an incredible fighter, but what the novel hints at is something deeper. It doesn't outright tell you what it is, but the numerous clues make it extremely obvious.
Outright tell? I mean, bro is saying lines that just confirms that, this is my 57th chance. You are going to be doing this action now. I will dodge. I mean, he didn't explicitly say that, but the dialogue pretty much implies that. So at this point, I think it's pretty obvious, right?
So let's just say Subaru might not be the only one with a special ability.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference from
he got an authority?
And it's a core part of what I'll be talking about in this video. Let's get started.
No ad break.
To start things off,
wow.
in Crucia's recovery
No ad break.
room, Capella began by commenting on how disappointed she was in her. For someone possessing as much noble blood as herself, it was a shame she lost in her battle to the Dragon Blood. Of course, Felix only wanted answers, but the questions he asked certainly weren't going to be answered by her. No. Instead, Capella took this opportunity to mess with him, transforming into Crucia, then taunting him into trying to kill her.
More Felix Hill?
This was significantly more stressful than what we saw in the anime, since rather than strike Capella while she was in her original form, Felix instead had to muster the courage to do so while she was Crucia.
Oh.
There wasn't any particular reason as to why Capella was doing this, other than to kill time and check out a relationship she found rather intriguing.
She's just having fun with it, right? She's a twisted individual, just wants to troll and cause harm and just basically says, fuck you, Felix.
She did, however, slip that she was searching for what she described as collectibles, so that was going on in between all this little fun of hers.
What is a collectible in this context? Now them parting is such a sweet start, but I'm afraid I can't be hanging around too long. I have to go looking for some important little collectibles. Are you talking about people or are you talking about items? Are these collectibles perhaps even the gospel that was mentioned in the whims of the cult? I don't know.
Now, it was when Felix was being held against the wall that he would actually fight back in a way that we didn't get to see in the anime. Somehow when he was being pinned here, Felix had managed to explode Capella's arm in a way that shocked even her.
Why would they take that away? At every avenue, the anime just goes out of its way to hide and take just Felix give more else. Like, just give him something, bro. All he does is cry and complain, and I wish that the strongest magic user would get a better representation in the anime. God damn, they cut that shit out?
Compared to the damage she'd taken in all her other fights, what Felix did here was fundamentally different.
Bruh.
His attack had caused Capella's arm to wither away into nothing.
What the fuck? Why would you cut that out? There's gotta be an agenda. They do not like femboys over on White Fox. Yep, that's my conspiracy theory.
It's before Felix would get a chance to explain what that was, though, that Anastasia would then step in to scorch Capella's face next. It was the next step of a trap she set up, knowing full well Capella would come here. Knowing just how terrible of a person she was, Anastasia was able to read Capella like a book. She had leveraged the merchant tactics she normally used for negotiations, then applied them here to predict this as the route Capella would take. This was one of the core practices of being a merchant, since winning there often meant not letting your opponent do what they want, all while managing to do what you want.
Outplanned.
So it was essentially the same concept, just applied to the battlefield. Needless to say, Capella
Anastasia with prep time, power scaling memes incoming.
Wasn't very happy, but before she could transform Anastasia into the worm she envisioned for her, she would instead find herself falling all the way down to the sewer network. It's here we get to see the true fight begin. bringing us to the showdown between her, the Archbishop of Lust, and Al.
The spirit gun is still never answered, by the way. There is no way Anastasia should be able to use magic. I think that it is directly confirmed by the dialogue in the anime too. It's just like, you shouldn't be able to do this. Whether it is a broken gate or some sort of other limitation, she shouldn't be able to. So when Al was confronting and Anastasia just kind of gave no answer, what the hell was that? I don't know. Was that spirit art somehow? But don't you... I mean, Subaru has a broken gate. With the spirits, it's kind of possible. I don't know what's going on. Spirit arts or meteor? I don't know.
Much of their initial conversation was exactly as how we saw in the anime, except Capella would be a lot more heavy-handed with her provocations.
Very menacing Al
She
picture.
would start with the typical lust-filled comments that she usually did, only to get shut down as Al wasn't willing to go along with them.
Was bro just calling Al's sword thick and long? What'd he say? Hold up. And what exactly are you planning to do with that big long thing in your hand? Hey, chill.
Was fighting up above. I mean, the guy really sold the idea that he didn't want to be there right now. Al then tried to blame her for such an inconvenience, leading Capella to point out all the things that weren't her fault. Specifically the flooding of the city and the murder of those on the council.
Al did that.
Al would of course deny any involvement, but
Nah, he did
Capella's
that.
attitude towards that led him to realize something about her was different. You see, in comparison to the archbishops he'd met before, the way she acted just wasn't the same somehow. Capella would then refer to each of her acquaintances in the most vulgar way possible.
Tiny Dick Virgin is crazy. Did she have confirmation? When Capella turns into other people, what about their genitals? If Capella could turn into Regulus, does that mean she somehow already knows exactly how girthy and long he is? I don't know. Maybe she's already seen it. Freakish grudge so. Yeah, kind of makes sense. Tiny Dick Virgin. Yeah, probably makes sense.
Confirming the notion.
Starving baby faces, multiple, plural, who don't have a shred of personality because they are constantly warped in how they present themselves. Because through the memories and the names that they eat, they represent different people. It's chaotic.
Vulgar way possible, confirming the notion none of them were allies. Shortly after, she would make her...
Let's have some fun with this. Let's have some fun with this. All right. Just cause I'm in the funny mood today. All right. The reason I am stopping it right now because I have a comment. It says, "Did I miss Alien Force finale?" You see that comment right there, right? Second channel content. Shoutouts to Kaka TV too, by the way. Second channel is popping off, and recently I just made a video about Ben 10 and Alien Force Season 3 finale. And what is the only rule that exists here, by the way? Really matter. If you come into stream and beg for ask or schedule, I will ban you. I said I'd do it, right? There is absolutely no way. Well, I mean, this time it's different though, right? Because it's not like their name is like Sung Jin Woo Lover, right? Where is this, right? This person is 25th Bomb, which actually is kind of like, what's the word? Disrespectful to my heritage, because that's a Korean show, right? That's a Korean webtoon, right? That's Tower of God, right? Oh shit, I just watched the video title and came in. That's why I'm saying that you represent the statistic, which is known as the average person. The average person cannot even watch or get into, I don't even have to watch 2 minutes, 36 seconds, right? It's literally 10 seconds in. You can't even follow such simple instructions because you're the average monkey that I talk about. And for those reasons, I must put you in detention. God damn it. Oh, wait, saved. His profile picture, though, is Naruto. And why does that matter? Sorry, that's Boruto, actually. That's Naruto's kid. Why does that matter? Because the average battle shonen Unga Bunga has 0 IQ. So thank God the Boruto kind of like, what's the word? Balances out, right? The negative stereotype of what happened with Tower of God and Naruto. But anyway, I'm still timing you out. Shut the fuck up, dumbass. God damn. Man, it is crazy. No matter what I do, no matter how I present, my rules and structures, people still fuck up. And by the way, you don't even have to watch the video, right? You don't even have to watch the video, because the moment that, by the way, let's just do a test, right? We're getting off topic right now, but let's just do a test. I will go to a random person's stream and for the first time, like for example, I don't know, bro. Let's check out this one. I don't know what the hell this is, but the reason I'm going here is when you are about to type something for the first time, chat rules, boom. That's what you see immediately, right? Immediately you are given a warning, and there's only one fucking thing that is in the part of the chat warning. And you know what that is? It's literally what I say right here too, bro. In front of you, right over here. And people still fuck up. You know why? Because the average retard has no patience. Anyways, let's get back to the content.
First attempt at courtship, since no matter how much she was pushed away, Capella was the type of person to fixate on a love that persevered through everything. It was a one-sided desire to steal every bit of affection from someone.
Lust.
Her own twisted perception of true love. It's for this reason she's
Booba.
able to transform into the ideal form others prefer, since that's her way of expressing that love.
Yeah, and she got like crazy eye powers, man, and she can like use it to understand. Like, she didn't even know who Amelia really was. She never met Amelia, but simply by looking at Subaru, is like, even the author like said it himself, right? Capella has these special set of eyes that lets her read a person's desires somehow and can just transform into it. Okay.
She's able.
I just want to know, if she turned into Regulus, would Regulus's dick size be accurate? Like, does she have to know in advance what the legit size is? Does she just guess? Does it just come with the titty size, right? What about the titty size for Amelia? She didn't meet Amelia before. I don't know, man. These are the real questions, though.
Able to see a person for everything they are on the outside, then devotes her entire being to satisfying the subtle needs that person expressed. Yes, it is technically exactly what that person desires, but the main problem with that is that it's only superficial. On the surface, this may have been everything Al wanted, but it was the farthest thing from true love anyone could imagine.
It ain't the real thing.
Now, Al's continued rejection would eventually lead to Capella's pursuit and her subsequent decapitation, where you might be wondering, what about her blood? Well, Al was well aware of the potential effects of getting any of that dragon blood on him, but that didn't stop him from walking right into it. Despite that blood showering everywhere from the stump neck he just created, zero hesitation was shown when it came to delivering the potentially fatal blow to her.
Okay.
It seemed he just didn't care what may come of it. So, Al would first carve out Capella's heart from her headless body, then explode the rest just like how we saw in the anime.
I never really thought about the whole blood thing, because I thought that he was just dodging it. Maybe in one of the runs that he tried during the boss attempts that the blood got on him and he's just being extra careful.
The entire sequence was a three-pronged attack, each more lethal than the last. Even Capella was shocked by how mercilessly Al decided to treat her, leading her to ask if hurting people was an expression of his love.
Is it?
It's then that Al could only look on in aggravation as the rest of Capella's body regenerated from just her head. She didn't even need the parts Al painted the walls with, so whatever organs and blood remained there simply melted away into nothing. Capella was, however, curious as to why Al wasn't avoiding her blood, and that led to a response that was rather interesting. You see, though he didn't say anything entirely specific, he did mention how he was already aware Capella's blood wasn't a poison activated by simple contact.
Okay.
It was a fact he learned by trying to dodge it before.
I missed out once before trying to dodge all that. Exactly, right? The previous simulation runs that he's tried.
This was a peculiar answer for Capella to hear herself, since from what she could remember, Al hadn't tried to dodge anything. It was then that Al would mention how that was from a time she wouldn't know about.
This is the thing, right? Like, he is not discreet about this shit at all. I mean, Subaru sometimes also says shit where it pretty much hints that like he's tried it already and it's like multiple times. Or even like how when Otto came back and in season 1, tied up by the Iron Fang faction, like the Iron Fang group, right? I think that's their name. Maybe it's a different name, but Anastasia's faction. And Subaru was like, "Oh, now you show up in this cutscene." It's just like kind of implies that he treats this like a video game, and these are different runs, and he's already encountered you before. But anyways,
possibly referring to something that's much, much bigger than this. It could also be a statement referring to anything, but considering all the similar clues that come next, it's very unlikely that such odd statements would all be coincidence.
Yeah, like if you had just one time, very discreetly, I would say okay, but these are like multiple cases. So right now, this is a pattern of behavior. Obviously, he has some similar power to return by death. I just want to know exactly what it is. Is it an authority, maybe?
In any case, the most important.
Also, another really fun thought process is, yeah, Subaru seems to just raw dog the entire season 3 after dying a couple times against Sirius. But after that, after episode 2 onwards, we didn't die a single time, right? It's really fun to think that rather than us getting lucky or, you know, because of the proper planning and help that we had from the rest of the people, like Reinhardt and so on, it's fun to think that we only got a perfect run because we only see the perfect run. Al has been repeating over and over and has been clutching from behind the scenes. So again, we are now seeing from the lens of these other NPCs that exist in the ReZero world where whenever Subaru perfectly attempts something, because we don't get to see exactly what Al might have done behind the scenes.
Thing was that the neck, heart, and body weren't Capella's weak spots. That left only the head, but the thought of continuing the fight left Al exhausted. He was very much over this fight that he didn't want to deal with, along with something else that seemed to be bothering him.
Bro got tired and just walked away.
Though it's not explicitly mentioned in the anime, it's clear from the beginning something a bit more discreet is weighing heavily on Al too.
Oh, there's his eye. Remember, you gotta crank up the brightness whenever you want to see Al's eye. That looks very similar to Subaru in how sharp and cold it is.
It's yet another mystery adding to the many currently surrounding him. It's then that the fight would continue, much to Al's displeasure, since not only was he starting to get exhausted, after the 20th lethal wound, Capella still showed zero signs of weakness. She had recovered from each exactly the same as all the others.
Yeah, this is a funny frame. I think that you just can't kill Capella. Maybe it's a similar thing with Elsa in how there is this seemingly immortality happening, but if you just keep attacking and killing over and over again, maybe there's some sort of threshold that you hit and then Capella will no longer be able to regenerate. But for situations like this, I feel like we have to like seal her away. You can't just kill her in one go. We need to like seal her.
Chunks of her body would simply melt away into nothing, while the core would regenerate no problem. Capella would then ask how many more times it would take before he'd actually kill her, a question to which Al would answer with yet another peculiar response. You see, in addition to saying he wasn't sure if even 100 deaths would allow him to do it, he also added how he was already pushing 50.
I mean, this is not just an implication, right? Again, he's explicitly saying, we're at like the 48th run, 49th run, we're about to hit 50 simulation runs.
That's right. Al stated bluntly that he'd died almost 50 times already. Now, this could just be hyperbole, but
nah. Again, if this is the only time he said this, then I'd be like, all right, we'll just kind of treat this as an outlier. A single dot on the graph means nothing. But when you have multiple dots in the graph from multiple occurrences like this, a dot, all those dotted, dots, forms a line. And a line points to a pattern of behavior. And the pattern of behavior is coming from Al, and he seemingly can? Maybe it's not returned by death, but something similar.
Considering his previous statement and the fact those words don't even make sense, it's starting to seem like Al may have powers similar to what Subaru does.
Sus.
I mean, how else would he have survived such prolonged battles against such powerful opponents? He even mentions dying like it's some event he's very much familiar with.
It's scary as hell, dying hurts, all the more so if it's your first time. Wonder how that first time went, right? Subaru, for the first time he died, it was with Elsa, right? Elsa cut us and we didn't know what was happening. And Subaru wakes up and he's like, what the hell was that? I wonder what was it like for Al.
In any case, the subsequent trap which would leave Capella crushed was what she considered an act of love due to how thoughtful it was.
What? Because we put the effort in to bury you under these rubbles? Because we tried, it is an act of love?
The way everyone spent so much time plotting all this for her reinforced her twisted belief that giving attention was the sole way of expressing their love.
Okay.
So, as the tunnel caved in and her body flattened, the only thing Capella could think about was how all this was for her. She couldn't help but blush knowing so much attention was given to her.
This is a different level of... I don't know if it's narcissism necessarily. Very interesting mindset. So it doesn't matter what the context of the attention is. If you're getting attention because people hate you and people wish the downfall of you, that still is a form of love to her because you are engaged. She is the ultimate rage baiter. It doesn't matter if people are glazing or if people are hating. As long as the attention is on her, it's love.
Now, as much of a hindrance as having one arm was, Al could actually swim quite well. The only problem was his helmet, but considering Anastasia was there waiting for him after, he couldn't take it off to empty the water inside of it.
Got it.
Once again, Al would hint at some untimely deaths during the process of his...
Feels like I was secretly crushed under it all 3 times. So this is his 3rd attempt, right? Or at least he's tried it 3 times. The falling and just basically just trying to bury Capella.
escape, then proceed to recount his battle of attrition with Lust. Anastasia's magic would trigger some sort of red flag with Al, then Capella would enter the scene showing she was just fine.
And then she
This
leaves.
much we got to see in the anime, but what we didn't see after was Al's inner thoughts taking the situation more seriously than usual.
Okay.
You see, for Al, Capella's power was the worst possible matchup for him.
Why?
He doesn't explain why he thought that, but he did mention how it would have been better if she just came here to kill them. To him, the worst possible outcome was getting turned into flies or something. It's a threat I assume is dangerous to him for the same reason it's dangerous to Subaru.
Oh, like the fact that he wouldn't be able to use his powers to repeat it over again, right? Like Capella's ability to, like, because like if Subaru can't die and he just like locked up in a cellar like that one time in season 2, we're fucked, man.
Luckily, Capella was done with what she had to do, so the 3 of them wouldn't have to fight like their lives depended on it. And that would be the end to their confrontation with Lust.
Okay.
I wish I could explain more the influence of the gospel on her, but as Capella said herself, that was simply a guiding tool for her.
And they always listen no matter what. I think it's pretty convenient how Capella just kind of exited here. I was expecting her to go down, but I'm actually happy that Capella survived, and same with Gluttony, all 3 of them. Because I feel like the weight of an Archbishop has been so high for me ever since Betelgeuse, but this arc I straight up thought we were going to get rid of Lust, Greed, Gluttony, and Wrath all in one go. If that happens, I guess a part of me would be like, oh, I wanted more like Archbishop Tom. I wanted more of them to get hyped up and get to learn more about them and make them important. Maybe because like once you get rid of these villains, then you kind of have nothing to look forward to. Maybe a different scale of faction or power scaling would happen beyond that, but I'm kind of glad that she got away. Wrath also, like Sirius is just tied up. The only person that really died was Greed. So Wrath is still like tied up. And then we got Gluttony, which is basically 3 of them. They're all gone. And Lust is also gone. Why did they listen so hard to the gospel though? I don't know, man. This is the real question. They're always so obsessed with the words of the gospel. Thank you, Ray Shadows, for the 10 months. I appreciate it.
Herself, that was simply a guiding tool for her. The decisions she made were hers alone to make. She still had the freedom to choose her own course.
She still left.
Now, how Anastasia knew about it is a completely different question, but I'm very much curious as to why Al was so on the fence about her.
Because Anastasia is definitely hiding shit, right? The fact that she was able to use a spirit gun was very odd. I thought that the implication here was that somehow Anastasia was Capella, but that wouldn't really make sense because that means there was 2 Capellas. What, Anastasia was faking herself as Capella and shot Capella? Does that make any sense? I don't know. It's more of how the hell were you able to use that magic when we know that you can't? And another one is she has this extra knowledge, right? I don't know where the knowledge is coming from, and I think it ties back to how she invited everybody to Pristella in the beginning of this arc. There is no shot that it was a random occurrence of just giving gifts to people. I think that she had intel somewhat, somehow. Maybe it could be just inside connections, right? You don't necessarily have to have some sort of mythical tool or some sort of all-telling prophecy tablet like the dragon tablet, right? Back in Lugunica to be able to tell these things. But I'm still assuming that she still had intel, and thought that it's in her best interest to obviously bring all the candidates here and to solve this problem.
There's clearly something else in play between the both of them, and that's part of the story I'm very excited to see come to life hopefully next season.
Maybe.
But anyway.
And Anastasia also plays, I don't know if she plays a critical role, but if we look at ReZero Season 4 PV, right? If we look at any of the ReZero Season 4 stuff, what do we see here? Anastasia's there, great. And that's a thumbnail. And the reason I am focusing on this is because if we're going to be exploring on more Anastasia content, then she better be in the season. So I mean, clearly we know what's, you know, things going on with Yuli is really sad, but right over here, right? Since she's there, maybe we'll get more continuation. I want Al to be here, but I guess Al's gonna be absent.
That's pretty much it for this fight. It wasn't the longest in terms of content, but it was certainly the most anticlimactic since no conclusion was given for anyone.
It was anticlimactic. What else was anticlimactic? It's just, well, the gluttony stuff, the fact that they got away, kind of, I guess.
Capella simply retreated and Al remains a mystery.
Yeah, the end of the season being anticlimactic, because like, I was expecting some sort of triumphant, like, pop-off moment where we just get rid of everybody. But the fact that people just kind of left on their own was, and then it's just like, the battle ended not because we beat them, but because they kind of, quote-unquote, retreated. So I'm like, that's kind of anticlimactic. But at the same time, like I said before, I'm kind of happy they got away because it means that we got more Archbishop content to, you know, expect in the future rather than just killing all of them in one go.
The hints we got were quite telling though, so at the very least it's incredibly likely he possesses some sort of looping ability as well.
Yeah.
We just don't know to what extent.
Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like Subaru where he dies and repeats at a certain, you know, that's like a checkpoint. It really could just be a simulation that like I've been saying, like literally, what's a simulation? You're not really like going through those lives, but more like somehow some power lets you like, I don't know, have some sort of fucking reality marble in your own head or a different dimension, and you're just like doing that simulation of whatever is going on, the events in a different thing. At the end of the day, it's all the same shit though, right? There's an aspect of looping going on and him being able to retry how many times he can.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So
that's pretty much it. Let's read some comments. Never noticed that he only had one arm. 3 fucking seasons in, people still... And you know what? I don't blame them because I didn't realize Al only had one arm when I finished season 1. Only when I finished season 1... Sorry, when I was doing cut content of season 1, and I was like, Al only has one arm? I had to go back and realize, holy shit, he does. The anime does a really good job distracting you from Al's missing arm because of the poncho that also visually obscures, you know, the lack of an arm, his angles that he poses in, and the helmet. I think the helmet is very, very... It draws a lot of attention, so your eyes don't really go to the missing limb, but the helmet's kind of there. Some smart reactors did catch it by Al's dialogue, his shadow being squished several times. Well, duh. You don't need to be smart for that, you just need to be fucking reading, bro. I know you already been pumping up ReZero, but if you have one more, cover Otto and Betty versus Lai since the... Yeah, for sure. I think gluttony stuff should happen next. I still think Al is a different timeline Subaru. Yeah, I think that's the most common theory right now, right? Everybody, I think from a story perspective, Al feels like a Subaru who has basically failed and is repeating here, and he's trying to warn Subaru not to do the same mistakes that he's committed. At least based off of the vibes of how much he's telling Subaru, like, you don't have to do this. The heroic delusions during the speech. I think a very good comparison to make is maybe Archer and Shiro in Fate Unlimited Blade Works, right? You have, like, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Huge spoilers, but the whole idea of, like yourself from a future timeline coming back to basically warn you not to do these things. Al has one arm? How did I not notice that? Because y'all just be watching with your eyes closed. And that's pretty much... There's so many people that still didn't realize Al only has fucking one arm, man. That's fucking crazy, man. Anyways, what's this? Hold up, wait. If you squint your eyes, you will see that Al is actually Kazuma from Konosuba. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got him. Oh my god. We've got him, ladies and gentlemen. That is a theory that I'm willing to die by. Anyways, please check out Andy News' channel. Go give it a like if you did. He's got many other content like this on his channel. Go support him, and I'll see you next time.